Well, every organization, community, family, and individual will face a moment when the unexpected strikes or happens. A moment that tests leadership, what we call preparedness, and resilience. This is what we call a crisis. Crisis management is the art and science of navigating these moments effectively, minimizing damage, restoring stability, and often discovering hidden strengths. Today, we explore how to prepare for, respond to, and recover from crisis with wisdom, clarity, and purpose. Crisis is a time of intense difficulty or danger. Remember, life is a full package. You receive all the package, difficult moments and great moments. I'll share briefly about Noah moment. But as I continue to highlight what a crisis looks like, a crisis is a critical or unstable situation that poses a significant threat to individuals. Mark the word individuals, groups, or systems, often requiring immediate attention, decision-making, or intervention to prevent further harm or collapse. It is in time of crisis where most innovations or interventions have come up. Because people are responding to challenges. People are responding to the gap. People are responding to what is not right, to the status quo. Think of all great interventions. Think about a phone. It was because of the gaps in communication. Think of any transport means. It was because there was a transport crisis. So crisis management, actually it's elaborated in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. But verse 1 says, there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under heavens. Remember, no situation is permanent apart from God and His Word. We actually look at examples in the Bible where there was a crisis and these people took charge of what was happening and, outlived it. They stood the test of time. I said I'll share briefly about Noah moments. I was just thinking the moment Noah was told to build the ark before the floods, there could have been a lot of talk around town. There could have been a lot of talk about why was he even doing this when there was not even a flood. If it was in this era, people would have laughed. But think about this for a moment. He built the ark before the floods, before the crisis, and it actually solved the problem. I was also reminded of a gentleman called Joseph. When famine hit in Egypt, I was thinking of David being pursued by Saul. Jesus is actually, burdened by, the fact that he was going to be, crucified. He goes to Gethsemane, and we've had, major crisis in life. Healthy crisis. You remember in 2020 we had COVID, We have had a lot of mental illness. There's also financial crisis. People lose jobs. There's a lot of inflation. There's a lot of homelessness. Family breakdown, crisis, divorce, estrangement, domestic violence. We look at personal loss. You lose a loved one, or maybe miscarriage or infertility. There's also moral or ethical crisis. Cheating, like stealing, what we know as corruption, or maybe prostitution, or abuse of power. We also have leadership crisis. I'm talking about this so that you understand that actually everyone goes through a crisis, or what we call turbulent times, a time that creates an intense moment for you to respond to, or to shrink. Or usually when a crisis happens, most of us shrink or run away or hide away. But today I want to teach you on how to respond to every crisis. The moment you understand that these things happen, these crises happen for every individual, you will actually know that you are actually meant to go through them. And for example, if we look at, like the example of Joseph and famine in Egypt, there was what we call strategic planning. You've seen now there's what we call insurance companies, a healthy annual plan where you go for a checkup. Strategic planning. That actually people fall sick. So when you fall sick, there's what we call prevention. You begin to eat well, you begin to sleep well, you begin to avoid some things, to be able to live long, to avoid or prevent healthy crisis. There are many things, but briefly today we'll talk about a few things. And when I was reading, I was just reminded of in case there's a financial crisis. We all know that actually the Bible says, God will supply your needs according to His rich in glory. Philippians 4:19, God provides for all the needs. Do we usually remember that God is the provider? Well, a couple of things, respond or take action. James chapter 2 verse 17 says, faith must be accompanied by action. We see what Noah was told. He actually went and started building the boat. Take action and know that this crisis, whatever crisis that you're going through, could be, a relationship crisis. It could be a financial crisis. It's a moment to sit and plan. There's this joke that I usually see around, that when you don't have money, it's when you have all these good plans. And when money comes, it shuts up all the plans. No. Remember that there will be a moment where you are in a deep or in a ditch. So as we say that this moment, every individual will face it. It's the unexpected. And when it strikes, it tests our resilience. It tests how prepared we are. So use foresight and planning, or be bold every day and face it. One of the things that I will tell you is just to pray. Pray first. Philippians 4:6 says, do not be anxious, but in every situation, by prayer, present your requests to God. And I will remind you that actually God knows everything. Of course, I had said take action. Do not just wait for anyone to help you out before Take action. Take the responsibility to act, Or if you could reach out to any coach or any counselor, because like Proverbs says, 15:22 says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they actually succeed. Seek a coach, a personal coach or a life coach or a counselor, and they will walk with you. And a coach in this way is a person who has gone through what you are going through. They have been there, they have done that. It's more like monkey see, monkey do, Hold on to hope. Be hopeful. I love this verse. It says, Romans 8:28, in all things God works for the good of those who love him. It's important to know that God is in every situation. As I conclude, I'm reminded of a crisis in the book of Daniel. These 3 Hebrew boys faced with a crisis that they had to counter their God, but they couldn't. So the king by then, King Nebuchadnezzar, wanted them to actually begin worshiping his God. And because they knew how big their God was, they couldn't give up. They stood their ground, and King Nebuchadnezzar promised to actually ban them. He told his men to actually increase the furnace times 100, to make it so hot for them. They never backed off. They stood their ground. And guess what? They said, even if our God does not save us, we will not worship your God. When a crisis hits, you just need to face it head on and go for it. Well, some crises are hard, take time, but understand that these seasons are actually temporary. Seasons come, seasons go. A crisis will be here today. Tomorrow it will not be here. But as long as it is here, you need to gather the courage and be able to run through and be able to continue becoming what God wants you to become. May God richly bless you.